Jannik Sinner walked out of San Raffaele Hospital in Milan with good news. At least that's what it looked like. A stress ECG, a Holter monitor, a full cardiac MRI. No arrhythmia, no structural damage, nothing. For most athletes, that's the end of the story. For Sinner, it might be the beginning of a much bigger one, because the world's #1 player collapsed at Roland Garros, lost 18 of the last 20 games from a winning position, and the most advanced cardiac testing available found nothing wrong with him. So here's the question nobody can answer yet. If his heart is fine, why does this keep happening? Wimbledon starts in 13 days, and that question is about to get a lot louder. Let's go back to May 28th. Court Philippe Chatrier. A heat wave pushing close to 90 degrees on the clay. Sinner arrived having won 30 straight matches, 5 Masters 1,000 titles in one season. Monte Carlo, Madrid, Rome. Carlos Alcaraz was out, still rehabbing a wrist injury. Novak Djokovic was fading. Bookmakers had Sinner priced like the outcome was already decided. The career Grand Slam, the one trophy he didn't have, was sitting right there. His opponent was Juan Manuel Corundolo, ranked 56th in the world. Never passed the third round of a major in his career. For 2 sets, it went exactly as expected. Sinner took the first 2 sets clean. He built a 5-1 lead in the third. He served for the match. Twice. And twice, his body simply stopped cooperating. Dizziness, cramping, a medical timeout. Afterward, he put it simply, "I struggled, starting to feel very dizzy, very low on energy." From 2 sets and a game away from finishing it, he lost 18 of the last 20 games. Final score, 3-6, 2-6, 7-5, 6-1, 6-1. 3 hours and 37 minutes. One of the biggest upsets in Grand Slam history. And that result alone would have been the story. What happened next made it bigger. Within days, Sinner was back in a hospital gown. This time for answers. San Raffaele Hospital, Milan. Hours of testing, stress electrocardiogram, Holter monitor, cardiac MRI. Every value came back normal. Doctors cleared him immediately, sent him back to training. On paper, that's relief. In practice, it's the opposite. Because a diagnosis is something you can treat. A clean scan with a recurring problem is something you can't. And this wasn't a one-off. Cincinnati 2025. Retired mid-match. Shanghai 2025. Retired mid-match. The Australian Open earlier this year. Visibly struggling in the sun. Now Paris. 4 times. Not an unlucky afternoon. A pattern. And the people who know this sport best are no longer calling it bad luck. Andre Agassi went first. He pointed out that Sinner played 5.5 hours in last year's Wimbledon final, then had the heat stop him in under 2 this time. His exact words, "There's a difference between being fit and being prepared." He floated hydration specifically, recalled his own routine before brutal 5-setters in Australia, somewhere around 10 to 12 liters of water in the 24 hours beforehand. His point wasn't that Sinner doesn't work hard, it was that whatever the team is doing right now isn't enough. John McEnroe answered him. Sympathetic at first. It's like Superman has been hit by kryptonite. Then less sympathetic. He said this isn't new. That Sinner has dealt with cramping for a couple of years now, across 3 or 4 separate occasions, which means the team has almost certainly already tried everything science can offer. Hydration protocols, nutrition, recovery science, and then McEnroe went somewhere most people glossed over. He said part of this is now in Sinner's head, that it's hard to stay calm once your body has betrayed you publicly before. That's not an insult. It's a real phenomenon in elite sport. Once an athlete's body has failed under pressure more than once, the nervous system starts bracing for it before it happens. Fear of cramping makes cramping more likely, which makes the fear worse next time. A loop. Toni Nadal, who coached his nephew Rafael to 16 majors, called the entire result incomprehensible, genuinely strange in his words. The kind of collapse that doesn't fit any normal pattern of how a dominant player loses. 3 legends, 3 different angles, preparation, psychology, plain bewilderment, all landing in the same place. Nobody has a clean explanation. If you're starting to see Wimbledon differently right now, that's the point. Subscribe Because this channel isn't waiting for the rest of tennis to catch up before asking the question everyone else is dancing around. Because here's what makes this even harder to explain. This is the same player who, in this exact stretch, produced some of the most ruthlessly efficient tennis anyone has seen in years, sweeping clay events that chew up everyone else, barely dropping sets against fields full of major champions. It's not that his body is fragile, it's that something specific switches off under one particular combination: heat, accumulated matches, pressure. And right now, nobody, not his team, not three legends, not the cardiologists who scanned him, can say with confidence what that something is. Wimbledon begins June 29th. Sinner returns as defending champion. Last year he beat Alcaraz in a final that ran close to 3 hours. This year Alcaraz isn't even in the draw. On paper, the road looks more open than almost any major he's entered. But look at how he's getting there. He skipped every grass tour event, no Halle, no Queens. His only competitive hitting comes from an exhibition, the Giorgio Armani Tennis Classic at the Hurlingham Club, June 23rd to 27th. He'll share that court with Flavio Cobolli, Cameron Norrie, Casper Ruud. Low stakes, no real pressure. Days before that, he was photographed practicing on a hard court in Monte Carlo. Not grass. A choice that's already raised eyebrows. His team says everything is on schedule. Publicly, he looks calm, sharp, unbothered. Mats Wilander put a condition on his prediction. If Sinner arrives healthy, the title is his to lose. Notice the word, not fit, not sharp, healthy. That word didn't used to carry extra weight when people talked about Sinner. Now it does. Here's another detail working against him. Grass has never been his easiest surface. 29 wins, 10 losses there in his career. A win rate that trails what he does on hard courts and clay. He's won there before, including last year's title. But it's always required an adjustment he won't get much of this time. Now, the case for optimism. London in late June usually runs cooler than Paris did during that heat wave. The surface rewards different things than a 5-hour clay grind. But McEnroe's framing matters here too. It wasn't only the heat in Paris. Sinner walked into that tournament carrying 31 matches across roughly 8 weeks of non-stop competition. The heat was the trigger. Maybe not the root cause. At Wimbledon, that fatigue resets. 3 weeks away from match play. Cardiac tests ruled out anything structural. Everything measurable says he should be fine. Here's what can't be measured. Whether anything actually changed inside the camp since Paris. Whether the hydration protocol looks different. Whether someone new has been brought in, the way McEnroe suggested. Whether the psychological loop, the body bracing for failure before it happens, has been addressed at all. Or whether it's sitting quietly, waiting for the right combination of heat, fatigue, and pressure to come back. On the sport's biggest stage, nobody outside that camp knows. Not Wilander, not Agassi, not McEnroe, not the doctors who handed back a clean scan and sent him back to training. What everyone knows is this. In 13 days, the defending champion walks onto center court with a structurally healthy heart, an unresolved pattern stretching back 2 years, and 3 of the most respected voices in tennis history publicly asking whether his team has actually solved anything. If he gets through clean, this conversation disappears overnight. People will say legends speculate out loud all the time and aren't always right. If his body fails him again, in front of the whole world, on the biggest stage tennis has, then the theory stops being a theory, and the question changes. Not what happened in Paris, but what's actually wrong with the best player on the planet. If this changes how you're watching Wimbledon, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're not waiting for the rest of the tennis world to catch up. We'll see you before the first ball is struck.